23andMe revealed my mom's, 59 female, 11-year affair which drove my dad, 59 male, to end his own life. This is gonna be very long, sorry about that. My parents were high school sweethearts. They started dating when they were both 16. They dated for 4 years and then my mom, 59 female, got pregnant with our oldest sister 39 female. Then my dad, 59 male, did the right thing. He dropped out of college. He was on the path to medical school. It was his dream to become a doctor, married mom and started working at a desk job at my grandpa's, 80 male, company. My parents later had 3 other kids, my older sisters, 35 female, 33 female, and me, 30 female. My childhood was pretty normal. Dad worked, mom stayed at home taking care of me and my sisters. Dad was always very present in our lives. I and my sisters were always daddy's girls. We were very attached to him. I was particularly close to him. We had a really deep bond. When I was 13 I was diagnosed with leukemia and he never left my side. He held my hand during chemo sessions during the whole time. He consoled me when I had my first heartbreak, and assured me that everything would be alright. He taught me how to drive. He walked me down the aisle 3 years ago when I married my husband, and told me that was one of the happiest days of his life. I was always his favorite as well. My parents were happy. I never saw them fighting or anything like that. My dad took my mom on date nights at least twice a week. He spoiled her a lot and they seemed really in love. My parents were the perfect couple. Everyone saw them as something flawless, an example of true love. My mom was my dad's only one, and dad was mom's only one. It was something that he was very proud of, that it was really special for him. I felt really bad when I lost my first time to my ex-boyfriend and realized that I could never have the same thing as my parents. My dad's mom died during birth and grandpa raised him as a single parent. He never remarried, or dated anyone after her death as far as I know. Grandpa refused to talk about grandma. It was very painful for him. He never met anyone from grandma's side of the family and grandpa didn't talk much about her. So, in June, I bought a 23andMe kit for me and dad. I thought that would be cool to see if he had any relatives on grandma's side, and we did the tests together. We did the tests. I found out that I had 2 half-brothers, and that we shared the same father. We were honestly confused. I and dad didn't understand that. We thought that this was a mistake. When we told mom about this, she froze. She started crying. We pressured her a bit more, and that's when she confessed about her 11-year-old affair with one of my dad's friend. He was our neighbor at a certain point of our lives, and he was in the same class as dad and mom. I remember seeing him around when I was a kid. He was a close friend of the family. Dad was in denial. He thought that it was a mistake. I and my sisters ended up doing the test at a hospital. 3 days later the results arrived. No one matched with dad. He was not our father. For the first time in 30 years of my life, I saw my dad cry. Not a normal cry, sobbing, like a kid. We tried to talk to him. He got up, grabbed his keys and left. We tried to call like 100 times and he didn't answer. My mom was having a panic attack, so my oldest sister took her to the hospital. We didn't hear from dad for 3 whole days. We searched for him everywhere. Eventually, my grandpa found him at the family fishing cabin. He had hanged himself. He didn't leave any notes or anything like that. In 9 days, I discovered that my mom had an 11-year affair, that my dad wasn't my biological father, and that he took his own life. It broke me. His funeral was another mess. My dad's side of the family got into a fight with my mom's side of the family. My grandpa and uncles ended up kicking my mom out of the funeral. It was a disaster. The first time I saw my grandpa crying as well, it was something I wish I hadn't seen. He entered a really deep depression after that. He barely speaks anymore. After the funeral, neither I nor my sisters could look at mom anymore. We just couldn't. I can't look my sisters in the eye as well, and I blame myself every day for suggesting that freaking stupid test. Thanksgiving this year was the first time we didn't celebrate as a family, in 33 freaking years. I can't look at my mother anymore. She spends her days staring at a wall. Her side of the family is pressuring me and my sisters to re-establish contact. But I just can't. My sisters are also not speaking to her since the funeral. I found out that I am pregnant last week. I and my husband have been trying for the last 2 years, and I'm not even happy. I feel hopeless. I feel broken. Sometimes I start to think about dad and my heart looks like it is going to explode. I freaking miss him so much. Have anyone been in a similar situation? How do I survive this freaking guilt? How the hell do I move past this? Any advice is really appreciated. Now for the top advice. I'm sorry for your loss. As for advice, the trauma you're experiencing is very far above Reddit's pay grade. I get that it's pretty cliche to say this on this sub, but I feel it's definitely warranted in this case. Have you tried therapy? I've been doing therapy for weeks now, online. It helps, but not nearly enough. I've been looking into some local grief support groups, but with COVID, it's really hard. The therapist has told you this isn't your fault, yes? You know it's not your fault. Your dad left you with the happiest memories of your life. Your childhood, your remission, and all the other things a father can do for their daughter. His trauma broke him, but it doesn't have to break you. He raised you to be the person you are today. I think the best thing you can do, is to be the best parent you can be, just like your dad did for you. One day, you can tell your child all about your father, the amazing wonderful person he was. You can carry all the traditions he gave you, you do all the things he did with you with your child. Let his love live onward, not his pain. Yes, everyone tells me same thing, but I just can't help it. If I hadn't suggested the stupid test, this whole thing wouldn't have happened. You are not to blame. This could have happened in a number of ways. For example, you or your sisters could have needed a transplant, your dad could have suggested to take this test himself, or, like it happened to someone I know, this secret could have been outed out in school when talking about blood groups. The problem with secrets is that, they always have a way of getting out. Unfortunately, you were caught up in that. You need to forgive yourself. I'm 100% sure your dad would not have wanted you to hurt because of this. I also know what you mean about your heart feeling like it is going to explode. My dad died 2 years ago, and it was the first time I experienced true heartbreak. I still tear up when I think or talk about him. Stories like this are exactly why infidelity is not a freaking joke. I noticed you mentioned briefly how your mom reacted to the discovery of infidelity, but how did she react to your dad ending himself? She was a mess, couldn't stop crying. But after the funeral she got worse, she had a mental breakdown and spent a week in a hospital. Now for the next story. I, 24 female, found out my mom has been having numerous affairs for at least 10 years and I confronted her. What now? Been trying to deal with this alone because I can't really discuss it with anyone else. I confronted her the other day, but it still isn't sitting right. I found out my mom has been sleeping with / messaging and seeing several men at a time, over the last at least 10 years. I accidentally got sent nudes from one 10 years ago, when she let me use her phone for a school trip, and I repressed it and have felt guilty about it ever since. She deleted the conversation before giving me the phone back with a new SIM card. We never discussed it. A week ago, I started seeing messages from a contact with a feminine name, saying things like I love you etc. I kinda brushed it off. I then started paying more attention when I heard her on the phone with the person who had sent the nudes 10 years ago. I thought maybe they had continued the affair all these years, and got a bit more suspicious. Then she had a friend come visit while my dad was at work. I call this friend of hers uncle. He is also married with children. When she was dropping off her friend, I decided to get to the bottom of the feminine name contact. The name sounds almost fake. I used her old phone to find the contact's real name and then checked her messages on social media with him and couldn't find him. I decided to search her messages for divorce and found him. Unfortunately, a ton more messages came up. So many men she's talked to about it. Then I searched texts, even more men. So many nudes and texts sent back and forth, including many with that friend she was dropping off. Later that night, I kept on looking. I was trying to find a reason why she wouldn't just get the divorce / to make it make sense. I didn't find one. All the texts went the same way. She would bring up actual stuff in a playful manner but nothing too explicit, and continue until the guy did the same. She then would say she doesn't want us in / disrespect dad. When I told her I knew, she acted like she had no idea what I was talking about, and kept trying to get me to tell her what I knew. I'm glad I didn't. I just told her I knew and how upsetting it all was. She gaslit me, and cried about her being unhappy and how she's so alone. She swore on me and my siblings that she would never do it again. I have no intention of telling my siblings, 16 male and 18 female, and don't know if I should tell my dad or make her do it. I just also don't believe my mom will actually stop. She's still been weird on her phone and changed her phone passcode. I told her I would stop talking to her if she made me complicit, and if she wants to see other people, she needs to get a divorce. She's educated and able to work. My dad is kind, and I think would see that they have drifted apart. Am I just angry, or is she actually a pathological liar? Now for the top advice. You need to tell your dad. I don't want to devastate him. Can you tell me why and how you suggest I tell him? I feel like it's not my place as their kid to tell him. I wish I didn't know any of this to begin with. The main reason why is that you shouldn't carry the burden of keeping your mother's secrets. It's going to mess you up. Tell him. Yes, it will be a mess itself, but they will have to deal with that. The reason I confronted her was because it was so hard for me when I saw those text messages when I was younger that I just have repressed it. I have no idea who this woman is. I feel devastated because I know she will blame me. I just don't want my siblings to believe her. I also don't want to have to show them proof. My world is upside down. I have no intention of telling my siblings, 16 male and 18 female, or my dad. I just also don't believe my mom will actually stop. She's still been weird on her phone and changed her phone passcode. I can't believe what I'm reading. You don't think your dad deserves to know? Hi, I edited it to say I don't know how to tell him, if I should make her do it. I typed this thing up and didn't proofread and some things got lost. Genuinely looking for the best way to deal with this. It shouldn't be my burden. Your mom is cheating with multiple people and you won't even tell your dad? Do you not respect him like your mom doesn't respect him? That's just cruel, for everyone to know about the affairs but him. Tell him, or tell her you will tell him if she doesn't. There is no reason for you to attack me like this. The confrontation happened less than 24 hours ago and my dad isn't with us. I also hope everyone commenting realizes I have been raised by a master manipulator, and I'm just now realizing it. I'm younger than I said in the post. I was trying to protect her identity by changing a few facts, but I don't even think she deserves that anymore. I'm trying to process a lot at once and asked for advice because I need help. She is my mom, and it's actually about my stepdad. It's hard for me to expose my biological mother even though I know it's what she deserves. Now for the last story. Dad cheated on mom and lied to me. I just found this subreddit and I need to rant for a minute. So, my parents got divorced years ago because my dad cheated on my mom. The thing that bothers me the most is that when they got separated, my dad promised me that he would get back together with my mom and would move back in. However, my dad is still with the woman he cheated on my mother with. They live together but aren't married. When they first moved in together, she hated me. I think she might still not like me, but she doesn't show it so much anymore. Every time I'm with them, they are always so close to each other and I hate it. They also have 2 children together, and one of them was born before my parents' divorce was final. My dad is always telling me that they love me and get them to tell me they love me, and I want him to stop. I feel terrible that I don't love them because I know they didn't do anything wrong, but I just can't get myself to love them. They are living reminders that my dad broke his promise. Every time he tells me that they love me or gets them to tell me they love me, it feels like a punch to the gut because I'm so guilty that I don't love them back. Just needed to get that off my chest. Now for the top comments. Maybe I'm wrong to say this, but it sounds like more of the same behavior we see a lot of cheaters do. Wanting to rug sweep, acting like what they did doesn't have a negative impact on others to minimize their role in it. They refuse to accept responsibility for their actions. So, if he can't accept when you ask him to stop, I wouldn't blame you for minimizing contact altogether. My mom cheated, I eventually got over it. It took a long time, but you only have one mom and you only have one dad. Use your grown-up brain, not your little kid brain. You don't know all the facts. Your mom could have driven him away? To me, that is your little kid brain. Just because you only have one mom and one dad, doesn't mean they're good people. When you grow up, you realize this, and don't have to associate with people who don't care or respect your own feelings. Cheaters don't even consider the impact they will have on the lives of their children. The promise he made to you while his affair partner was already pregnant, it is just such a cold heart, and above all, as if your mother were going to take him back. After how he treated her. Good for her that she managed to divorce from his unfaithful, selfish and narcissistic butt. Also, it would be good for you to distance yourself a little, not necessarily forever, but to get out of that environment that stresses you so much. Sorry you are going through this. You are under no obligation to spend time with your dad and his new family. I wouldn't if I were you. It just causes you more pain. Your dad just wants everyone to love each other and be happy, without acknowledging the pain he did to you and your mom. His girlfriend isn't going to try to accept you, as you are a reminder that he had a family before her. And that's it for this video guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.